So this is kind of a spur-of-the-moment video that I decided to do. It kind of came about, I was in my car a couple days back driving around, and they had a show on NPR. They had these people from Duke University on the video that this is a response to. It was these guys from Duke University talking about the deceptiveness of the measurement of miles per gallon. And at first I thought, oh, this is great, they're finally bringing up something that's been on my mind for a long time, because it was I believe it was on their Science Friday. I think it was last Friday, not today, but anyway, so like NPR a week ago, Science Friday, I'm pretty sure, they have these guys on from Duke University, and it's kind of an environment themed thing, saving the Earth, saving the planet. And I thought for sure they were going to hit on, what's been going through my mind a lot, because I feel pretty certain that there's got to be other people that this has dawned on. I like to think I'm intelligent, but I know I'm not, compared to other people, terribly super, ultra, uber intelligent. I'm just not. And so I would think this would have to have occurred to a lot of people, but I've never heard anybody enunciate it, so I've got to get this off my chest just to say something, because it's something that has a lot of aspects about the way the general public views things that really have gotten to bother me a lot. Anyway, the video, if you'll go watch it, is basically they're talking about how people look at the miles per gallon and they'll think, if they have two vehicles, like an SUV and a car, the miles per gallon, people will see the miles per gallon and they'll think, oh, if I replace the 25 miles per gallon car with a 50 miles per gallon car versus replacing only a 10 to a 20 on the SUV side, that the car would be better because it's higher miles per gallon. Well, it doesn't work out, because the amount of fuel you consume, and this is for going the same distance, so like they do it in their video for 100 miles. Anyway, turns out that you consume a lot more fuel, or a lot less fuel rather, if you switch to the more efficient SUV, because SUVs just consume more fuel, and so even a lower increase in miles per gallon, you save more. This really wasn't at all what I was looking for, although it's in this similar direction. What I've seen a lot with a lot of the environmental movement is people make a lot of big assumptions about things. And I've never seen people come out and make all of the calculations, and it's kind of like this, like they've set up with this miles per gallon. People see a linear number, people see a statistic within a certain set of assumptions, and they just try to rank things on a linear or even a planar scale, but it's not very deep. It's not touching on very many subjects, and I'll give you an example here. Wind power. People talk a lot about wind power and how great and wonderful wind power is, but I've yet to see anybody come out with the carbon footprint of manufacturing, moving to the installation site, installing and maintaining a windmill. Now, if anybody's looked at the process of manufacturing something like that, I'm talking an electric generating windmill of variety. They use a lot of. Has anybody taken and looked at the energy input that has to surround every aspect of putting that out there, and what kind of energy is lost in transmission back to wherever you're trying to get the energy to? Because you can't just put windmills anywhere. And I've never seen anyone do that. And some people have made the claims, oh, well, they never recuperate the energy that's put into them. And frankly, as I look at it and guesstimates, I haven't taken the time to do the hard numbers or crunch the hard numbers. And whenever you get this, you get a lot of interest, because the big company corporations like GE have a lot of money invested in getting people to like windmills. Because if you like windmills, they get to sell more windmill parts, they get to maintain more windmills, and that's more money for the bottom line. And everybody thinks they're a wonderful company because they're building some windscreen. So it's good PR, it's good money. But as far as actually providing something better to the environment, it seems kind of dubious to me. And the same thing goes with a wide array of things. And sometimes people will come up with the excuse, oh, well, we're transitioning, we've got to get there, so we've got to throw money at it so we can develop better technology. So And to that I respond, well, how long do you throw money into something? How long do you keep putting money at it? People will often mock the religious and those who are in faith, well, yeah, your God's going to come, yeah, right, in the second coming kind of thing. I would kind of present the same thing to a lot of people on a lot of these endeavors. I'm not saying you don't research, I'm not saying you don't figure things out, but how much money do you keep funneling into something? How many resources, how much carbon do you put out into the environment? How much damage do you do otherwise through, that's another thing too. I mean, you look at like light rail, it's a big thing here in Utah, and the one thing people don't see is the money it takes, and not just the money. Money is kind of, in my perception of it, is the more money you spend, the more you're impacting the environment generally. I know you can have offsets and things, but generally, in order to even get those offsets, you're expending energy of some kind. You're consuming some kind of energy and some kind of resources, and it all has this fallback. And so if you look at what it costs to construct light rail, to lay down the lines, to maintain the lines and the cars and the vehicles, it's and then there's times during peak commuter times when you're carrying a lot of people, but there's a lot of times when those are empty, at least here in Utah. And there's a lot of times when they're running close to empty because there simply isn't a demand all the time for people to travel all around, but they have to keep running because of the schedules and things. To have reliable transport, nobody's going to take something if it's not reliable and continuous. And anyway, but things like that, things like light rail, things like wind power, and even recycling. People, I'll often hear them say, oh, well, like recycling aluminum cans. It's a fact that the process, the actual process of recycling aluminum cans takes a considerable amount less energy than it does taking the ore out and processing it down. But the one thing that's never mentioned, and the one thing I've never seen anything calculated for, is the process of how much energy and time, man hours, how much of everything is used to collect and to transport, how much gas is used to transport things, to bring it back. And I never see all of these things considered. And so I get the feeling that, like with the miles per gallon, we're tilting at windmills in trying to save the environment. Another thing that comes to mind is this great focus we have on, I'm not saying again that it's bad to buy local. I think it's great to buy local, and I try to do it when I can. But a lot of people that promote it don't realize, they talk about, oh, well, you don't have to ship things as far, and you shouldn't buy things as far because you're consuming all that energy. Well, the one thing they don't consider is if you're always absolutely have to buy everything local, how many more vehicles are you creating? And one thing that I also don't consider is oftentimes in transporting, the reason why something is cheaper is because a vehicle is already going in one direction anyway. And so you're burning up, you're using fuel to get the vehicle from there to there, and the ratio of how much, you don't have to use very much more fuel to transport something in there rather than just moving an empty car, whether it's a rail car or whether it's in a container or in a container ship, whether it's a railroad or a diesel truck. Anytime you're moving the thing across the place and it's empty, you're wasting a lot of gas, and that's not factored into a lot of things. Also, the setup for putting in new vehicles. If you're going to have more commerce locally, you're putting more vehicles on the road overall, because you've still got things that have to go interstate, internationally. So you're already going to be having that. And so I think a lot of people miss the boat on this. And I'm not saying economies are perfect and save all, but a free market has a lot of value behind it. There's a lot of hidden efficiency that the environmentalists generally, not all of them, but generally a lot of people that gather or rally around the environmentalist cry, they don't see the efficiencies of the market because they're not looking for them. and sometimes the inefficiencies of trying to do things, the law of unintended consequences, which is present in this video. Anyway, I just had to get that off my chest and show that, so I hope it's enlightening for somebody. I kind of wish I could broadcast this to 1 million people, because I really think a lot of times we're looking for cures that aren't cures. But anyway.